Hello and welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Train a Dragon podcast. I'm your host, HC, and with me is...
Wolf.
And after last week's rather positive episode about our favorite Race to the Edge or Dreamworks Dragons in general favorite episodes, we decided, you know what? We need to balance things out. Whenever there's good, there's also a bit of bad in some things. So today I decided that we can talk about all the possible shark jumping or ruining the franchise announcements and moments that could potentially show up in the near future. This doesn't have to be regarding the hidden world, but can also be related to any future spin-off, whether either confirmed or not. So, Wolf, are you ready? Are you ready to be a bit negative today?
I thought I was always negative.
Well, yeah, you. The one thing we established about you is that you hate fun. So that's negative, right?
Sure.
Okay, then. So let's get started. What thing in the what needs to happen with the How to Train Dragon franchise what needs to happen with this that you need to go, no, I don't like this. This is not good. I don't what would make you throw your hands in the air and say I'm done?
See, that's where we run into a problem because I'm fairly accepting of too much, I suppose you could say. So they would have to go. I don't even know if there's anything they could do that I wouldn't be able to still find some kind of enjoyment and fun out of, right? Like they'd have to go really far, and even then I don't know if that would be enough, because then at that point I would see it as one of those so bad it's good movies more than likely and still find enjoyment out of it. You're talking to someone who's watched The Room for fun because watching The Room for fun is fun.
Well, watching The Room for fun is kind of its thing. This is not. Let's think about an actual bad movie.
You're talking to someone who will actively go out of their way to recommend people watch the old 90s Street Fighter movie because it is just wonderful.
Well, but again, this is one of those so bad. Let me think of something that. Okay, would you recommend anyone, or would you yourself watch the Michael Bay Transformers movies?
Yeah, I have watched them.
Okay, so one thing, first thing I have to tell you is that after this, we're not friends anymore. That's one. Second of all, man, you are really hard to unimpress, and
I mean,
for a person who doesn't like fun, you're surprising me.
Like, they're not great movies, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're good movies, and I don't recommend people go out and watch them because they're not great movies, but at the same time, if I just want something for background noise that I can just turn off to and just, I guess, watch explosions, because that's pretty much what those movies are. It's just explosions.
So watch Mission Impossible, the new one or something, or the Avengers, White Transformers.
Transformers has more explosions?
No. Just no.
I mean, to be honest, right, I've actually heard someone compare How to Train Your Dragon 2, say that How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the Transformers movie of How to Train Your Dragon.
The hell? Who said that?
I don't know, it is just some random comment I think I've seen somewhere, but it's because there's more explosions in the second movie,
Well, yeah, because dragons, fire. This is bound to
yeah, but there's
happen
only
at one
one
point.
big explosion in the first movie, so obviously if there's more explosions in the second movie, it's comparable to it's the Transformers version of How to Train Your Dragon. It's How to Train Your Dragon Transformers version.
I beg to differ. There's at the end of test drive, when Tutas shoots the fireball at the end of that scene. This is a pretty big explosion.
Mini explosion.
Explosion nonetheless.
Second film had more and bigger.
Yeah, obviously, but and you know something? The big dragon bad guy in the second one didn't explode.
He could have, though. He should have.
No, you're not taking this away from me. This didn't happen.
We would all be happier if we saw just the Buddha Beast erupt into a giant ball of fire. We all would have been happier for it.
And then you can see Drago going all Team Rocket and being into the sky.
See, again, it would have been better. You agree?
Not sure if better, but it would be more entertaining in the
Which is better, which
sense.
is why the Transformers movies are good. See, I'm glad you've come around to my way of thinking.
No. If I may go on with this tangent for a bit longer,
No. We should probably get back to the topic.
Yeah, but just this quick thing, because when my dad doesn't watch a lot of movies that are not comedy or heist or something like that. Like he likes his films simple. Mm-hmm. So I managed to I think it was Spider-Man Homecoming. I managed to drag him and my mom to see Spider-Man Homecoming, and there was a Transformers The Last Night trailer before it, and he watches the trailer and he turns to me and says, "This is a movie." He was. It is. And I'm like, listen, and I'm saying like, listen, by the technical definition, yes. By everything else, I'm not sure. But yeah, okay. So we kind of broke the record on going on tangents, and
a little bit. But I getting back to topic, right? I don't know what they could do to make me just go, nope. I'm wiping my hands and walking away, right? Like I don't know if there's anything they could do that would really make me just go, nope.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How absurd does this need to be in order for you to actually go nope?
Yeah, I think, and even this, right, is still something I would be interested in seeing just to see how they pull it off and if they can pull it off, right? But I would definitely kind of go, if we heard them announce, and if we heard DreamWorks come out and say they're announcing that they're making a live-action gritty reboot of How to Train Your Dragon, at that point I would definitely roll my eyes and go, okay, I'll still watch it because I want to see how you do this and if you can do it, but okay.
Is this Stoic, son? Fuck Stoic.
But yeah.
Okay, so basically you're saying if they're doing a live-action gritty reboot of How to Train Your Dragon, you would raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, I would definitely raise an eyebrow at that because it's definitely out of left field.
I'm happy to tell you that I will raise even more than an eyebrow. I would raise my fucking temper, because that would be like, this is the direction we're going. Like after we finish the franchise with Hidden World, this is what we're going to do with this franchise now. And actually, let me ask you something. If when you say the books are getting darker as they go along, do you think it ever reaches like the gritty dark, or is it like the second movie dark?
No, it's still fairly light in tone. Like it's maybe a little bit. I would say comparable to the second movie in terms of how dark it gets. Like you'll definitely someone dies in the book, right? So it's definitely like not super gritty because it is still a kid's book, but it's still like there's some dark themes and undertones there that have that the book uses to its advantage.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Anyway, in terms of me, something in the plot that will make me not necessarily quit, because I made it far into the franchise, but something that will make me go nope will probably be one, if Stewie comes back to life. I think that's a pretty that's the one thing that will make everyone like go, what? No. Oh.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Because
unless it's just his beard, then I'm perfectly fine.
Well, but if it's just the beard, you can also say it's a dream. You don't need to bring him
No, it's
specifically
real
back.
life. It's it's regular. Like this is actual real life. Like he's in the movie, like he's not. It's just his beard floating around now. He's actually still alive. It's just his beard. He's living through his beard now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll make this short. What will make How to Train Your Dragon jump the shark for me? I'll let Wolf take over it. that
It would be so much fun though, because you have no idea what to expect.
You're tearing me apart, Astrid.
You have no clue what to expect if you let me direct a new film for How to Train Your Dragon. Let me direct the reboot of How to Train Your Dragon in 10 years. You have no clue what to expect, and therefore you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
You have to put a scene in there where Hiccup goes, I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not.
That's just taking from an old. That's just taking from an old movie that's bad.
There you go. There you go. He doesn't say Mark. He says fish legs. Totally different.
No, you have to be creative on your own. You have to be creatively bad on your own standards, not steal from another. Not steal from another bad movie.
Legit. But I still won't let you do this. Like, okay, but on a serious note, so yeah, Stu coming back from the dead is a no. I know Gerard Butler is in the movie. He's like he has a role in that, but it will probably be a flashback.
Yeah, or a very different beast entirely.
Yeah, so a flashback or a dream or whatever. That I can live with, but him coming back after they burned his freaking corpse, no. Just no. Okay. Anything else? Something I won't necessarily say it's shark jumping. Huh? What did you say?
Nothing.
Okay. Also, I won't necessarily say that what I'm about to say now is not necessarily shark jumping or ruining the franchise, but I think it's safe to assume that there has to be some sort of Hiccup and Toothless parting ways at the end of it, or at least something that leads up to it. Like we were promised a pretty emotional send-off at the end. So, pretty much like with any movie, if the send-off is not... If I don't feel what led up to the send-off is good, or if I not necessarily agree with what leads up to it, this could probably ruin the film a bit to me. You know what I mean?
Is that really the way you set it up though is very much like jumping the shark though, or ruining the franchise? Would that really ruin things? Would that ruin the franchise?
No. What I said was that I'm not sure how I don't think it's really shark jumping or ruining the franchise. I'm just saying it will take away from the experience a bit.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Understandable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So that's now regarding announcements that they could make regarding How to Train Your Dragon. I will say this before anything else, and Wolf, you may agree or disagree with me on this, because we need to keep in mind that Dean said that as far as his involvement with the franchise goes, he's done after Hidden World. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Dreamworks can't make other stuff with this franchise afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that sense, I do want to say something. To the people who haven't listened to this podcast until now, you need to know something. I love Hiccup as a character. I mean, we're making this podcast. That pretty much, that's a given, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So keep this in mind when I say that if anything comes out of this franchise after Hidden World, I don't want Hiccup to be the main character.
Yeah, I would agree.
And because if the third movie is the thing that ends his story and supposed to leave him in the place where I'm fine with leaving him here, then continuing his story either in either following up on those events or going back again to an earlier part in his life. Why do I need this? Why do I need this when his story came full circle? And I'm saying this because I don't want to be sick of Hiccup. I don't. I want my first positive thoughts on him to remain when it's all said and done. So I don't want to be sick of Hiccup, and therefore I think he may deserve a bit of a rest after Hidden World is done. Focus on someone else. Like if he could cameo or be mentioned, it could be cool. But the main character, he had his time in the sun for around 10 years. He can. I can live if he's not the main character of anything that comes after Hidden World. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I've always said, right, I'm perfectly fine if they continue on with How to Train Your Dragon after the third film with different characters and just expanding upon the world and doing different things. But as far as Hiccup is concerned, right, I think after the third film, like, this is the end of his story. Whatever it may be, I think this should be the end and they shouldn't come back to him. And don't even do the thing where it's like, hey, it's not him, it's his kids. Don't do that either. That would also annoy me. I would still, again, like, I'm a fan, so I would probably still watch it, I will admit. But it would still be one of those things where I would sit back and go, you know? Because it would definitely be like, I see what you're doing, I know why you're doing it, and it's just annoying. It's not interesting, it's not neat, it's just annoying. Because you're not the first to do it, many others have done it, and very few have ever done it well.
And something, the possibility of like a spin-off featuring Hiccup's kid, if he will have any at the end of the Hidden World, probably will. It's everyone wants it, so why not at this point? But
do they though? Do they?
Well, have you seen the post that exploded recently about John Paul's track list, and that there was apparently a track that starts with the letters W and E, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, wedding! Oh my God, wedding! Does it say wedding? Does it say wedding?"
But that's a wedding, though. That's not like Hickstred Kids in their own show.
Wolf, this is an animated movie. If there is a wedding, it leads to kids.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not at all. Not at all true.
Yes, entirely true.
For weddings in general, or just animated weddings?
In animated movies, I said.
I cannot prove you wrong right off the top of my head, but I thoroughly doubt that every animated movie that has ever had a wedding has led to kids.
Well, How to Train Your Dragon could always be the first.
No, it's not the first. I promise you there are others.
Actually, you know what? If I may contradict myself, Wreck-It Ralph. That had a wedding and didn't into children yet. Who knows?
There you go.
Maybe the sequel could prove me wrong on this. Who knows? But okay, for the sake of the argument, let's assume we're going to see some form of kids in the end of the Hidden World, like maybe Astrid's pregnant or something. I don't know.
Sure.
So, for the sake of the argument,
sure,
and for all the Hickstred shippers out there who are listening to this and need something to giggle at, Rush. There's this thing that, yeah, you could do something with Hiccup's kid, supposedly, but one, it will be overdone. And two, what exactly can you do with Hiccup's kid when you think about it? Like, yeah, obviously, if you think hard enough, you could probably think of something, but what is it going to be? The kid wants to prove that he's unique on his own and not necessarily be his father. Yeah, that was Hiccup.
They do the exact same thing, except now it's the kid is basically stoic, trying not to be like Hiccup.
Not even necessarily stoic, because
no,
it's like stoic then.
No, it's literally the kid is basically he's built and set up and everything like he's stoic. He's literally stoic. This kid is.
Mhm.
He's like
Yeah,
mini stoic, and he's trying to be more like his dad, Hiccup. There you go, role reversal.
yeah, and yeah, that if they'll do that, I would shake my head. I would face palm. I would do a lot of things.
And you get to see Hiccup disown his kid because he killed a dragon.
Hmm. Again, you know something? That's if if the plot of
And
the
then
first
that
movie,
leads to that, and that leads to Hiccup's kid Stoic growing up to become Stoic, and then having another Hiccup, and then we start the first movie all over again.
yeah, and that's lame as hell.
But see, it's all cycle. See, setting up the story cycle here. That's how we got
Just
the first
because
movie.
just because you can do cycles doesn't mean you should.
At one point in the past, the Vikings didn't kill dragons. Then they started to kill dragons again. Then they stopped killing dragons. Now, just for it to start all
Wolf, can
over
I ask
again.
you for a favor?
Sure. What?
Shut up. Just shut up.
See,
Oh boy.
this is the thing, right? This is why
I told you to shut up.
But I mean, like, I'm leading into a good topic here, a good point, anyways. This is why I can't really sit back and say there's anything that would make me go, okay, or just wipe my hands and walk away from the franchise, because I'm the one who has these dumb ideas more often than not. So for me, it's very much I would like to see it be attempted just for the laugh, right? But it's very much one of those.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, do you really need Dreamworks to put millions of dollars into this? Let's just write a fanfiction, like a crack fanfiction about it, and do.
I would love to see
go.
them try, but no, I don't need it or want it really either. But I would love to see them try.
Okay, to all the fanfiction writers, this you have an idea.
You've had plenty of ideas.
Yeah, Hiccup's son being like Stoic, killing a dragon instead of sparing one. Role reversal for How to Train a Dragon 1 with Hiccup being the chief. Go ahead and have fun. Send us the freaking link when you're done. I would read that. And we will. And also, you know what? If you'll do this, we'll have you on the show.
Don't make that promise.
Why not?
We won't have you on the show.
No, we will. We will. We will.
Just so we can make fun of you.
No, not because of. They're not the ones who brought up the idea. That was you. So I'll bring the guy to the show in order to
I have every right to make fun of them.
No, you don't.
I'm also making fun of me too, though. So it's all okay.
Yeah. And speaking of people who we may need to make fun of, let's see where this is going. Some behind the scenes thing that is happening.
Going on, right? Like
yeah.
Continuing on like the actual show and ignoring Rush typing in the background because Rush couldn't make it.
Sorry, Rush, we love you. And okay, what did I want to say? So
we said before, getting back on topic, right? That seeing anything of Hiccup after the third movie, we would be, would not be good. Would definitely be a why moment. Why are you doing this? This doesn't need to be done and shouldn't be done. I will say, right, that I'm not opposed to like seeing like if they decide to release a short, something that's further along, seeing something like after the fact, after the third movie that's much further along with an older Hiccup or something. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But that would be about the only thing. Like an entire another movie dedicated to Hiccup and his story after the third film, I think would be too much.
Like I'll say this: if I don't need How to Train a Dragon 4.
Yeah, well,
that
if there is a How to Train Your Dragon 4, it doesn't need to be Hiccup's story, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's one
Because I don't know what else they would name it at that point, if there's a fourth
because
one.
you could be like How to Train a Dragon beyond the Arc, something like that.
Sure.
So maybe focus on new Dragon Riders, or maybe maybe give some of the Race to the Edge characters their own movie. That could be fun.
I don't think so. I think
Actually, this is debatable if it should be. It's debatable if it should be jump in the shark moment or actually a good idea. We don't know, but
I'm sure we do. I'm sure people have an opinion on it. Because it's a subjective thing.
But people have an opinion on it, but it's not necessarily something that's like, if it will happen, I think people will overall be okay with it.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I can tell you, if there it's a Dagger movie, people would be all over it.
I don't think Dagger could hold a movie though, but I mean, like I get where you're coming from. Like, I don't think anyone would be super opposed to it. Like, they wouldn't hate it. I'm sure there's some people out there that would, but like, I don't think anyone would be upset by it. I think they would just be, all right, sure.
Why not?
Yeah, very much that.
So let's see. We talked about, okay, here's a kind of throw me off. Let's say they are continuing with the franchise in some way, shape, or form. Either another TV show, another movie, not focusing on Hiccup or focusing on Hiccup, it doesn't matter. But, they are moving on with the franchise. One thing that will make me go like, wait, no, is if all of a sudden they'll try and make like a quote-unquote more comedic version of How to Train a Dragon, as long as it's canon. As long as they go out of their way to say, this is canon to everything you had so far. Because if it's not canon, then it's just a funny thing that I can maybe try and sit down and have fun with. But
I don't know about that. I actually might say no to that, like, more comedic style, because go back through and watch a lot of DreamWorks more comedic movies. It's very lowbrow humor, nothing that's actually really... It's mostly just a lot of it's fart jokes, right? And How to Train Your Dragon didn't do that, if I'm not mistaken. There weren't any of those.
And that's why I'm saying it will be shark jumping if they'll do something like this.
Oh, okay, I see. I misunderstood. That is my fault. I am sorry.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that if they'll ever make some sort of a continuation and decide, you know what, we're going in a more comedic tone, and that, like, maybe the guy who directed Boss Baby do it, then I'll be like, okay, you might want to reconsider that.
Yeah.
Just might.
Yeah, that would definitely be a eye-rolling moment, to say the least.
But I will be more disappointed with it if they went away to say it's canon to everything we had so far, because that will be too much of a tone switch and and it will be too jarring. But if they'll say, hey, we have this new comedic How to Train a Dragon spin-off that has nothing to do with the originals, that is just doing its own thing, then I can, even if it's not funny, I can be, it's meh. It exists. It doesn't mean watch it and enjoy it, because it has nothing to do with the franchise I know.
Yeah, sure, I would agree.
Because How to Train a Dragon at this point could also be something like, for example, I'm looking at some stuff. Shows like for example, let's take SpiderMan for example. There are so many versions. So there is one that's more serious and one that's more comedic, but they don't. Outside of sharing the same characters, they don't really connect in terms of story and canonicity.
Yeah.
So if they'll do something more comedic in that sense, that it just stays away while I can enjoy my regular How to Train a Dragon, sure, it doesn't hurt anyone. But if they say it's canon, well, nope. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I would agree. I think I could, I could definitely work with that and be fine with it and it not bother me at all.
How to Train Your Dragon Go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that will be let's say them do a TV show that everyone hates and then make a movie that was actually fun. Let's go with this. And at the end, the original writers coming back or something. Nah, I'm kidding. Anything else you have to say about what would ruin the franchise to you? Even though you said they need to try really hard in order to do that.
I mean, I I personally really don't have much that I could think of that they could do that you've not already covered. I don't think because there's not too many ways they could take it, right? And even like you have written down right here like people in charge of the franchise going forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything they could do that would make me go. I don't think there's anyone they could put in charge that would be terrible for it, barring Adam Sandler maybe. But again, I don't think we have that to worry about.
Oh man, if Adam Sandler did Dragon, and it's funny I'm rolling right now because I do think Adam Sandler can be funny, but
oh yeah, sure, he was funny at one time, but he's not been funny in a long time. But I mean, like another thing that would probably be annoying, maybe depending on how they did it, right, is How to Train Your Dragon being inserted into other things, right? Like other shows, like
like crossovers,
stuff like that. That could potentially be annoying depending on how they do it.
Yeah, but you also need to ask yourself, let's go with this for a second. Let's go with the crossover idea. This will have to be something that DreamWorks owns because copyright and stuff.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be something they own. It could definitely be like they work with someone else to do something like that. Like plenty of companies have done that. Like look at Disney and Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, like you won't necessarily expect to see most obvious example. You won't expect. We can't see Hiccup made in Merida or Rapunzel or anyone from Disney like the fan fictions make us believe.
People really want that. People really, really want that. If they did, I don't know if it'd be good, but they would definitely make a lot of money from it.
They'll make a lot of money. But you really think Disney will cooperate with the studio that was created out of sheer hatred towards them?
I mean, the way things are going, Disney might eventually just own them anyways.
Not the point, but I see where you're going. But you know something? Yeah, I'll tell you that even if it will be the most terrible thing in the world, I'll pay to see it because why not at this point?
Sure.
But
it's one step closer to getting potentially, How to Train Your Dragon within Kingdom Hearts, which I would absolutely adore and love. So I'm not going to complain if Disney eventually owns DreamWorks, like they own everything else now.
Well, currently Universal DreamWorks, so Disney need to buy Universal.
You're saying that like that couldn't happen?
No. I'm saying this is a possibility.
Basically, what I'm saying right now is, I fully support my future Disney overlords in any endeavor they go forward to. Just know
on their next conquest. But again, so in terms of crossovers, though, but for the sake of right now, at the time of this recording, Disney hasn't bought anything, everything. So at the time of this recording,
yet,
so
that we know.
So let's assume let's try and restrict ourselves to DreamWorks franchises, or maybe something universal like Secret Life of Pets, Minions, all of that stuff. When you really think about it, what exactly can How to crossover with? Because when you take a look at most of these franchises, each crossover, like a crossover, which each one could be considered shark jumping because different time eras, like Vikings. you can see How to Train Your Dragon with Troll Hunters, for example, because Troll Hunters takes place in current time.
But How to Train Your Dragon is referenced in Troll Hunters, though. Like How to Train Your Dragon exists in that world, in that universe, because you can see.
Yeah,
it as
but
a
it's probably but it exists as
as movie,
as cameos, as Toothless is I think it's Jim's
computer
like
or laptop, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's just a laptop screensaver background.
Yeah, but it's a franchise. It's not like these characters were actually lived in this universe.
Sure, absolutely.
And I don't think we want to. Oh my God, my movie came to life.
I wouldn't be opposed to that idea, but yeah. I guess, like the one movie you could probably potentially see How to Train Your Dragon within, and it not feel too out of left field. That would still feel out of left field would maybe be Shrek with all the myth thing and all of that going on. But even that's stretching it.
Yeah. Something that does depend, because I won't say Shrek is modern times, because it's not, but it still seems a bit too evolved in order to be the Viking times.
Yeah. And also, it's kind of like, do you want to see Hiccup and Toothless in that very, like, going back to that kind of lowbrow humor thing, right? Like, do you want to see Hiccup and Toothless within that, doing and being a part of that lowbrow humor potentially?
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of went over that too.
But at the same time, right? Like, DreamWorks isn't above doing what Pixar does this a lot. Like, right? Like, they'll have a ton of they'll have different stuff from other movies in the background of their movies, right? Like,
yeah, but but it's never distracting from the plot. And
yeah,
that's what
I'm saying. Could we do know Shrek 5 is coming out? Is that something they could do, or is that something they might have already done for Shrek 5? Is have an image of Toothless or something in the background of Shrek 5? And would that be a bother to people? Like, would that technically be jumping the shark?
If it then no, if it, like it, because I can tell you have you seen Penguins of Madagascar?
Yeah.
So there's a point there where the spies that by the Benedict Cumberbatch wolf, they like have a ship in custody and they then release it this ship was taken straight out of How to Train Your Dragon. So it's a cameo, but at the same time you can tell it was just there for the hell of it, for the laughs. Like, if someone will get it, good, they'll get it. If someone didn't get it, well, it's a joke in the movie. So
and I mean, even then they can just sit back and say, we needed a model for a Viking ship, so we just used one from the movie. So if everyone hates this potential joke we made, lie about it.
But again, that's the thing, though, because the joke isn't the fact that the ship is from How to Train Your Dragon. It's I don't remember the actual moment in the movie, but there's a joke that they wrongfully imprisoned the ship. I think it was. I'm not sure, but there's a joke that makes sense in the context of the film.
Yeah.
For it, it's not look. It's how to. Let's laugh at this. No. So if let's say the show Toothless as Shadow in Shrek 5, or maybe one of the civilians is one of the far away civilians is Hiccup in some sort of attire, then that won't count as a jump the shark. But if it's an actual crossover of the two, of like Hiccup and Shrek meeting and having to team up in order to do something, that will be okay. Where is this coming from? Why do we need this?
Yeah, I would agree.
So I think we covered everything. Do you have anything to say?
Not really. I get going back to, I suppose, like people going in charge of the franchise going forward. I would be perfectly fine with, I think, pretty much mostly anyone. Not everyone, but mostly anyone could come in, and I would like to see their potential take on stuff going forward and what they might do with it, right? But otherwise, yeah, I don't think there's too much of an issue with that in particular. And I mean, we've already said, right, like, They would have to really go out of their way to screw things up and really make some really poor decisions to turn me personally off. There's stuff they could do that I would definitely raise an eyebrow at and go, okay. But, I can't sit back and say I wouldn't be willing to at least give it a chance and a shot just to see what happens with it and where it goes and where it comes. And, just to see what happens with it and where it goes.
Okay, fair enough. So that's been all for the Berkcast. We hope you enjoyed. Make How to Jump the Shark for you. What would ruin the thing for you? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on Tumblr, where we are known as Berkcast Team. On Twitter, we are B-C, and we all can be found on the How to Train Your Dragon Valhalla Discord server. So, until next time, I was HC.
And I've been Wolf.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.